knows every shadow like a lover's name. Her steps a rhythm, a deadly game. Fingers chase the edge of time. She rewrites the world, one line at a time.
Chapter 4. Shadows in Flight. Kanchipuram, Tamil Nadu, 4:56 a.m. The safe house stood half-swallowed by wilderness, a colonial-era bungalow framed by cracked tile and creeping vines, its air heavy with dust and memories. To anyone passing, it was an abandoned estate forgotten by time. To Ananya and Vikram Singh, fugitives, operatives, ghosts of a vanishing truth, it was the only sanctuary left in a country that had turned against its own. They approached under the fading cloak of night, moving silently beneath towering neem trees whose roots seemed to groan with age. Each rustle of wind felt like a whisper of warning. The vehicle that had extracted them from the Chennai Military Communications Lab had left them 2 kilometers shy of the property. They'd walked the rest, deliberately, stealth on every step, calculation driving their exhaustion. By the time they crossed the threshold, the bungalow's silence felt suffocating. Vikram staggered against a wall, gasping. His left arm hung limp, blood soaked deep into his sleeve, the wound torn open from their flight. Ananya moved fast. She found the field medical kit, stored where it always was, beneath the sink, wrapped in sealed plastic. Ra's procedural paranoia remained flawless, even after everything else had decayed. The antiseptic sting filled the air as she cleaned his arm, her hands steady, even as fatigue dragged at her bones. "The bullet went clean through," Vikram muttered. The words gritted through pain. "No artery damage, I'll survive." "For now," she said absently. The tone was routine, brutal, professional. She tied the bandage tight, her focus already shifting from triage to threat assessment. They activated system lockdown the second our drive touched the grid. Someone knew we were coming. Vikram exhaled. Rajiv. His voice hardened like flint. "He's too clever and too loud. Someone wanted him visible, wanted us to see him." "Or he wanted to be seen," Ananya countered, gaze fixed on the curtained window. Beyond the glass, dawn was bleeding slowly into the garden, the pale gold of morning creeping across wet leaves. The first crows stirred noisily in the humidity, the air dense enough to taste. Her mind replayed Rajiv's message from the intercepted log. "This war rewrites nations. Chaos triggers order." It wasn't just mockery, it was orchestration. Even now, she could feel the war shifting beneath the surface, not fought with weapons, but code and betrayal. They had escaped, but they hadn't escaped clean. The Chennai Lab's architecture had shown redundancies, interlinks beyond Menon's known structures. Someone, Rajiv or an unseen hand behind him, was already inside Ra's framework, rewriting it from the inside out. Vikram moved methodically to the small desk in the corner, checking their few remaining assets, drives, encrypted radios, false IDs. His rhythm was steady, surgical. "Inventory. All accounted for," Ananya said. "Except peace of mind." He nodded toward the drive they'd retrieved. "Time to see what we risked everything for." Ananya crouched to pull up the hidden compartment beneath the floorboards. The metal glinted faintly. Indestructible, paranoid engineering from another era. She lifted out a ruggedized laptop, Ra's offline secure ops terminal. Hardened, obsessively protected. Exactly what they needed. No networks, no traces, no exits. The moment the system powered up, cold blue light carved shadows over her face. She inserted the drive. Data spilled open. And then she saw it. Lines that shouldn't exist. Numbers that weren't supposed to be visible. Her breath caught. My God. The files were not just operational logs from Chennai. They were financials. Classified intelligence routing. Raw evidence. Not of espionage, but corruption. Shell corporations. Offshore vaults. Black fund allocations mapped directly to organized crime networks. Every thread led upward, through Ra's own hierarchy. A climb that ended inside Delhi's iron ring of power. Vikram leaned over her shoulder, tension tightening the room like a snare. "What is it?" The rot, she whispered. Not just operational, structural. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but disbelief. It goes all the way up. Menon, the director, they're just cover. The organization's compromised, to its bone. For once, Vikram didn't speak immediately. His jaw worked silently. Then, who authorized you to reach files this deep? He wasn't accusing. He was testing the perimeter of trust. Deputy Director Sharma. Ananya's answer was careful, deliberate. She gave me access codes last quarter. She suspected misrouted funds, asked me to trace it quietly. Did she tell you what you were tracing? Vikram pressed. No, and that silence filled the air between them like static. Sharma trusting her meant one of two things, a blind gamble or a trap. If the upper echelon already knew, everyone aware of this circuit was compromised. This wasn't policing corruption. It was walking into its sanctum. Vikram turned toward the curtain, sunlight slanting through its woven mesh. Amber and gold spilled onto his face. The dangerous hour. Too much light meant exposure. They'll come for us, he said. Menon's people first, then everyone else. His voice hardened. You're holding evidence that can fracture the entire security establishment. No one will let that happen cleanly. She knew it before he said it. The courts, the ministries, the press. Every path ended in silence or death. Vikram's next words carried the weight of history. There's one protocol that's older than them all, he said quietly. Before Menon, even before Kamat's appointment, Ananya turned, the tribunal. He nodded. The word came out half legend, half myth. Ra's whispered safety valve, a secret forum somewhere in the shadows of bureaucracy, created by its founders as defense against internal rot. Most agents dismissed it as folklore. It's real, Vikram said, and I know how to reach it. Preparation consumed the rest of the morning. They packed, calibrated, cataloged. Machines, drives, false papers. Every item checked twice. Every route memorized until repetition replaced fear. But time bled away quickly. Heat pooling beneath the tin roof as the afternoon deepened. Sweat trickled over concentration. Ananya dug deeper into the drive's archive, cross-referencing name after name, dates, flight records, financial channels. Then one connection snapped the thread of patience. A single name repeating through all levels. Neha Gupta, Menon's personal secretary. To most, an invisible bureaucrat. To Ananya's trained eye, the perfect pivot. Flight manifests linked Neha to offshore travel under corporate registration tied to Chinese accounts. Encrypted messages. Frequency profiles matching Ministry of State Security protocol. Regular transfers to Beijing-based proxies. Layers upon layers. Jesus, Vikram muttered, his voice low and shaken. If Menon made her his direct liaison, Ananya finished the thought softly, her tone like a verdict. Then, this isn't just unclean money, it's infiltration. Her words struck like detonations in the small room. Menon's operation wasn't a private conspiracy anymore. It was foreign control disguised as internal corruption, a silent occupation executed through algorithms and bank wires. Ananya leaned back, the laptop's glow fading from her eyes. India's intelligence map isn't fractured, she whispered. It's hijacked. Outside, night crept over Kanchipuram's forgotten gardens. And inside the bungalow, for the first time since this began, both agents understood the full measure of what they were facing. They weren't fighting traitors. They were fighting an invisible empire. The day was dying in slow motion. The last orange slashes of twilight cut through the ancient blinds, stretching across dust and silence. Ananya closed the laptop and leaned back, exhaustion washing over her as numbers and names still pulsed behind her eyes. The drive's contents were a labyrinth. Money, power, treason, an edifice of deceit built over decades. They would need weeks to unravel it. But they didn't have weeks. Vikram's voice broke the silence, deep and final. We move tonight. Ananya turned to him, startled. His jaw was set, his exhaustion buried under the quiet discipline of decision. There's a contact in Bangalore, he said. Ex-military intelligence, tribunal affiliated, off the grid. If we can reach him, he'll verify the data and force initiation. Ananya frowned. The checkpoints, Vikram. They'll be waiting for us. Every highway, every border crossing. We're ghosts already, but the kind that glow in infrared. Then we don't go through checkpoints. He crouched by the kitchen counter, pressing fingers into a spot on the wall that clicked softly. A hidden latch released, and the wood swung open with a slow moan. Within the cavity, a cache sealed in plastic, forged papers, satellite burner phones, and 2 tiny glass vials taped together. Ananya stared. "You've been planning this. Ra's not the only one that believes in contingency," he said, his tone grim but even. "These are sedatives. Induce a controlled coma for 6 hours, long enough for transit through any checkpoint disguised as medical evac. Once we're inside Dr. Sengupta's facility, we disappear." "Can he be trusted?" Vikram looked at her for a moment, old soldier's eyes, unreadable. "As much as anyone can be in this work. His loyalty isn't to Menon's faction. He belongs to the old guard, the ones who built Ra on principle, not profit." Outside, the last of the light died. Evening pressed close over the crumbling walls, thick with humidity and unease. Road to Tiruvannamalai, 10:47 p.m. The night was slow, heavy. The road droned beneath their borrowed vehicle, a Toyota Innova disguised in faded hospital green. Its emergency flashers were coded, government-issue replicas, relics from a system they were now running from. The interior smelled faintly of antiseptic and rain. Medical boxes clattered softly in the back, echoing through the emptiness. Vikram drove in silence, his wounded arm braced against the window. Ananya watched the landscape blur, the ghostly ribbon of the road winding north through Tamil Nadu's lowlands. Villages slipped past like forgotten memories. Kumbakonam, Tiruvannamalai, Vellore. Each name was a checkpoint in the dark. Each kilometer, a narrowing of odds. The mountain at Tiruvannamalai was a black monolith against the starlit sky. Arunachala, sacred, eternal. Watching, Ananya's voice came quiet, more thought than speech. "Are we going to survive this?" Vikram didn't take his eyes off the road. "Probably not." She looked at him, but his expression was calm, almost tranquil. "And yet," she said softly. "And yet," Vikram answered, "someone has to. Someone has to say no, to call it what it is. Treason, not patriotism. Profit, not security. A country bleeding out while its protectors loot the arteries." He gestured briefly to the sealed case under Ananya's seat, the drive, their salvation, and their death warrant. "That data is our voice, Ananya. Whether we live or die, it has to reach the tribunal, because if it doesn't—" He paused, jaw tightening. "Then India loses the war before it knows it's begun." Ananya felt her throat close. There was no hesitancy left in her. Only resolve, hard, irreversible, and cold as the metal case at her feet. This was no longer survival. It was purpose. Private medical facility, 4:03 a.m. The palms on the approach road stood like sentinels, motionless in the still air. The building beyond them looked sterile, quiet, too quiet. Modern, single-storied, painted a pale institutional white that reflected the weak light from the moon. A place designed not to draw notice. A place for ghosts. Dr. Ashok Sengupta met them at the emergency entrance. He looked like a relic from another war. 70, thin, his white hair combed back, every gesture precise. Intelligence training lived on in his composure. He examined Vikram's documents briefly, and then nodded once. No questions, no hesitation. 2 days, he said, in a voice measured and devoid of expression. You have 2 days, no more. After that, my obligations change. Vikram inclined his head. Understood. The corridors were dimly lit, antiseptic biting the air, yet underneath that sterile scent lived something deeper. Secrecy. The particular quiet of places that held truths too dangerous to name. They were housed in a private recovery suite near the rear of the complex. Windows narrow, security feed live, external visibility near zero. A digital island surrounded by walls of silence. A nurse cleaned Vikram's wound under the dim light. Ananya sat before the terminal Dr. Sengupta had provided. Offline, isolated, encrypted under protocols older than Menon's regime itself. The next 30 hours blurred into work, cross-referencing names, time-stamping transactions, mapping the tendrils of a network that fed on power and obscured its tracks in legality. Every connection she uncovered deepened the sickness. The conspiracy wasn't born of ideology. It was administered bureaucratically. Small authorizations, harmless at first, that over years metastasized into control. The corruption was ordinary. That was what terrified her. Second day, 2:31 p.m. Outside, Tamil Nadu's air shimmered with heat. Inside, the world shrank to the pale blue of her screen. Vikram slept, his arm bandaged, his breathing uneven. The nurses moved with ghostly efficiency. Then, the notification blinked in the lower corner of the encrypted terminal. A new message. Channel, unknown origin. Authentication, tribunal code. Her pulse quickened. She opened it. The tribunal is willing to listen. Prepare your presentation. Contact will occur in 48 hours. Secure all evidence. Ananya stared at it, barely breathing. Her hands trembled as the meaning landed. Someone believed them. Someone was willing to convene what was never meant to exist. Somewhere, buried deep within the web of retired spy masters and disillusioned patriots who still believed in a moral India, the tribunal had stirred. Vikram woke to the quiet clicking of keys. He saw the light in her eyes before she spoke. "They've agreed," she whispered. "The tribunal will listen." He studied her, the tension easing from his features for the first time in days. 48 hours? Yes. Then we make them believe. He lay back, and the small room filled with the low hum of the cooling fans and the sound of a nation's buried conscience clawing its way to the surface. Outside, night began softly again, the same way all endings do. And somewhere beyond that darkness, the tribunal waited. The trial for the soul of India was about to begin. The light from the monitor flickered across Ananya's face as Vikram leaned beside her, reading the message in silence. The hum of the server room seemed suddenly louder, a low, restless pulse echoing the wait between them. When he finally spoke, his voice carried that steady calm born of too many missions run too close to the edge. "After we present this," he said, his tone low but certain, "everything changes. There's no going back. The people implicated here, they'll know the walls are closing in. They'll scramble. They'll kill to bury this." "I know," Ananya replied softly. "Are you ready for that?" She hesitated, and in that breath, she realized readiness was a luxury long lost. It had been stripped away back in the Chennai tunnels, when she saw what lay beneath the institution's promises, deceit layered like sediment through every code, every command. There was no going back. "I'm ready," she said, and for the first time, she meant it. The next 36 hours blurred into purpose. Ananya built the presentation with surgical precision, tracing the veins of corruption through data, connecting money to names, names to actions, actions to consequences. Each revelation deepened the rot. At the center of it all, Neha Gupta. Her quiet ties to Chinese intelligence transformed a scandal into a national betrayal. Treason, written not in gunfire, but in encrypted transactions and whispered exchanges across borders. Vikram's expertise sharpened the picture further. His analysis turned numbers into danger, patterns into potential ruin. Together, they unearthed what governments denied and enemies already knew. India's defenses had been pried open from within. By the second night, exhaustion hung over them like fog. That was when Dr. Sengupta entered, his face drawn, resolve etched deep. "The tribunal has agreed to meet," he said. "Tomorrow night, outside Bangalore. After tonight, your presence here will be erased, your admission logs deleted, footage corrupted. From my side, you will have never existed." He didn't have to say what that risk cost him. They knew. And when they thanked him, it was with the silent acknowledgement between those who understood that justice always demands a witness willing to vanish. They left under cover of darkness, the car slicing through India's sleeping countryside. Villages drifted past like ghosts. The roads shimmered under dim headlights. The sound of the engine became their heartbeat, a rhythm of escape and inevitability. As dawn brushed the edges of the horizon, a solitary blue car awaited at a junction, a silent sentinel. Its driver, an older man, gave a single nod and led them toward a secluded estate hidden behind centuries-old trees. Inside, 5 figures waited. Faces that had seen history in classified rooms, voices tempered by years of secrets. They called themselves only by first names. Among them, Priya, a woman whose calm authority was more formidable than any badge. "Show us," she said simply. And for 6 relentless hours, Ananya walked them through the evidence, layer by layer, She stripped away the facade until nothing but truth remained. A truth so damning that the silence afterwards felt almost sacred. Priya broke it first. "This is real," she said quietly. "And it's far worse than we imagined." Ravi, the eldest of them, leaned forward. "What do you want us to do?" "Expose it," Ananya said. Her voice didn't tremble. "Make it public. Make it undeniable." "That will destabilize the government," Ravi reasoned. "Good," she replied. "If the price of truth is chaos, then maybe chaos is overdue." Priya watched her for a long moment, then nodded. "The tribunal will act. Slowly, yes, but it will move. And you'll be protected, as much as anyone in your position can be." "We don't have months," Vikram said. "No," Priya replied, her gaze steady. "And that's not our concern." The words hit like a blade. Brutal, honest. The tribunal wasn't a sanctuary. It was machinery, built to process truth, not to save those who delivered it. As they prepared to leave, Priya drew Ananya aside. Her voice dropped. "You've only uncovered the beginning," she warned. "Your data proves what we've feared for years. That makes you vital and dangerous." "I understand," Ananya said. "No," Priya whispered, almost kindly. "You will." The drive back cut through unfamiliar terrain, roads that twisted through forests and forgotten villages. By sunset, Bangalore's skyline shimmered ahead, indifferent and oblivious. Vikram's question broke the silence. "Where do we go now?" Ananya stared out at the horizon, the case still on her lap, a small object heavier than history itself. "We disappear," she said. "We wait, we watch, and we survive long enough to find out if any of this meant something." In the distance, the world kept turning, as it always did, impervious, unfeeling. But inside the quiet car, something irreversible had begun. A spark in the machinery of power, a reckoning. And somewhere, deep in the corridors of government, the countdown had already started.
Her eyes burn cold, her touch ignites.